Great good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful Wednesday, January 14, year of our Lord 2026. My Cordaro Jewelers watch tells me it's 9:10 and change. Broadcasting today from the United States of America. I could prove it because law enforcement is removing people who shouldn't be here. It's also the place for the brave, like the veterans we salute today, thanks to our man John Basiliga and his great Basiliga hospitality, like Leroy Walton, driftin', John Feschuk, driftin', Mike Chachowski, Wilkes-Barre, Albert Davis, Dalton, Kenneth Walsh, South Abington Township, and Robert Kukova, Einan. The United States of America, founded with a certain knowledge and understanding by our incredible, amazing, irreplaceable founding fathers who understood that government is not, should not be, cannot be, will not be our parent, our guide, our salvation, our direction. Not any of these things, but is nothing more than a necessary evil we require to organize and protect society. The United States of America, the country where, for the first time in human history, freedom was declared to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. Freedom couldn't be parceled out to groups. It couldn't be controlled by government or government officials because our great American Constitution ensures and codifies freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and freedom of the press, no matter how they use and abuse it. Now, armed with these freedoms, and only because they had them, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, rejects, and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. Yeah, rejects, immigrants, greatness, unparalleled, because of freedom, period. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose. Unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. This Bob Cordaro show, well, it'll always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And so, we gavel to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that because of our commitment to common sense, we will indeed provide a sanctuary of sanity for you in a world where they're trying to tell you that upside down is upside right, that there's no such thing as a woman, that there's no such thing as an illegal alien, and much, much more. Well, guys, great to be with you. Just a point of privilege quickly. Just want to mention, I just saw, going through the obituaries yesterday, an old buddy of mine, Pete Kenton, well-known real estate guy and appraiser. He passed away, and we lost him. He'd be actually laid out this week. So I just wanted to mention Pete Kenton, friend to a lot of people, and so he'll be missed. Rich McHale says, "Morning, Bob. I've been reflecting on the lunacy that's been happening. It goes without saying TDS is real. In fact, it may be on the same level as the COVID pandemic." Oh, it is. And in fact, I don't know which is the byproduct of which. But he says, Rich continues, this division must stop before it experience a modern-day civil war. Totally scary. Now, the key here, the key to all of this is that we've got to understand that our political opponents are truly insane. I listened to this mayor of Minneapolis on Fox and Friends this morning. When I heard they were interviewing, I mean, all it is, the lying is unbelievable. Now, here's the neighbors. I want to go through this list quickly. These are the neighbors they are trying to protect. And this doesn't count the multi-billion-dollar fraudsters that Minneapolis and Minnesota are protecting. Okay, so I want you to just think of this. I am going to protest against ICE. I'm going to get in their face. I'm going to risk my life. Or I'm so stupid as our poor dear departed was. I'm so stupid that I don't even think I'm at risk. I'm entitled, as Joy Reid, she said they have to send white people out there. This is after a white person gets killed. They tell you the insanity is across the board. She said, well, they have to send white people out there because their white privilege will protect them. No, because there aren't enough African Americans stupid enough to do this. So here is who they are risking their lives for. Here is who they are shouting down duly authorized federal agents with guns for. Ayler Gomez Lucas, a Guatemalan illegal alien convicted of negligent homicide with a vehicle and DUI. Deportation order since 2022. Shui Hu, a Burmese illegal alien convicted of negligent homicide. Mongong Dul Manyang Deng, a Sudanese illegal alien convicted of the attempt to commit homicide, weapon possession, and DUI. Abdirashid Mohammed Ahmed, a Somalian illegal alien convicted of manslaughter with a deportation order since 2022. Alden Guerrero Munoz, a Mexican illegal alien convicted of homicide with a deportation order since 2015. Mariana Sia Kanu, an illegal alien from Sierra Leone convicted of 2 counts of homicide with a deportation order since 2022. Ty Lor, a Laotian illegal alien convicted of 2 counts of homicide with a deportation order since 2009. Now, this is who their neighbors are. This is the fabric of their community, as they say. Galauk Michael Rotgai, a Sudanese illegal alien convicted of homicide. Gabriel Figueroa Gama, a Mexican illegal convicted of homicide who had been previously deported in 2002. And I've got a full list. I could continue here. So the insanity, the inexplicable insanity of these politicians and people who are listening to them cannot even be quantified. It's off the charts. It's the exact opposite of common sense. It's pure insanity. This is who they are violently protesting for, to keep them here. I don't even get it. By the way, because it's ungettable, it isn't understandable on any rational basis. These are the people who are running the Democrat Party. And I'm like, what, are you following along? But how would you be so stupid to follow along? And we had our own little incidents here. Elected officials like Bill Gaughan, the completely insane county commissioner, totally discredited. that this is who you're protecting. Same people did the No Kings. They either get paid for it or they have a political incentive to pursue this insanity. That's what it is. So when you're sitting there in your home, and you may be political, you may not, and you just say to yourself, well, there must be some reason for it. The problem is there isn't. There is no rational basis upon which you could place the Democrat Party's leading issues. Yesterday, the Supreme Court arguing that boys and young men should be able to compete with girls. Justice Alito finally had to ask, well, if we can't define what sex is, what are we even doing here? I mean, they're confronted with this insanity. We have a Supreme Court justice who could not define what a woman is under questioning during her nomination process. Couldn't answer. Didn't even take a stab at it. She's going to make a decision and made the most asinine commentary during the arguments. So the key point, the key takeaway, and this has infested an entire political party that I used to have great respect for. All of the leadership. Not the rank and file. Well, I hope not the rank and file. Certainly not most of them. They are insane. It's not you. They're completely wrong. It's not even a close call. It's not even like, well, you know, maybe. There's none of that. On any issue. It's remarkable. All right, we'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK, will return. We think 1776 when we think the founding of the country, quite obviously. But that was 1784. The United States ratified the Treaty of Paris, ending the Revolutionary War. Britain didn't sign it until April of 1784. And that's Little Richard. Murph says he debuted with his first single, Tutti Frutti, this date, 1956. Somebody texted, I'm not a troll. I just wanted to correct your prison analysis regarding blacks in prison. I was talking about, and I've noted it a few times, that when you do Johnny Cash's album and it's filmed live at Folsom Prison, how substantial the white population of the prison was compared to the minority population, and everything's the exact opposite. Now I attribute it to a lot of things, including the welfare state's breakdown of the family. The point being, no matter, like, people will try to foolishly reduce everything to race. And it's about culture. And that the culture of the African American, the black community in this country was destroyed by welfare and the incentives it established. And also by horrendous leadership in the wake of Martin Luther King's death. But this listener continues. They said, I want to correct your prison analysis regarding blacks in prison using Cash's Folsom album. They didn't start integrating prisons until 1964. Now, my question is that in California? And it's, you're only texting, so I appreciate the thought. The album was filmed in 68, but the integration of prison was a process that lasted through the early 70s, just letting you know before a troll challenges you with a valid argument. And it could be a valid argument. And I appreciate it, by the way. That is something to know. And in fact, it's funny. You think of segregation and the insanity of it, the stupidity of it, the damage that it certainly did. I didn't even think of that. So thank you for mentioning that. I don't think it changes the point, which is that our minority communities had their families destroyed by the incentives embedded in the welfare state, and we didn't really even attempt to correct them until Bill Clinton was president. But thank you for that. That's a good point. Navy guy says, Bob, I thought we were racist to Hispanic, yet almost all of the list you provided is non-Hispanic. Yep. They're insane. They are completely wrong. They are completely gone. There is no sense to be had. They will skip over the obvious, like Jacob Fry, that scumbag mayor of Minneapolis. I almost cussed. Bulldog, are you ready? When I'm talking about these people, please be ready to press the button. He ignored the fact that these surges had to happen because they encouraged the protests, number one, and they disallowed the arrest of illegal alien criminals who were in prison. They caused the problem, period. That's why we played that clip to start the program. It's unbelievable. They're wrong about everything, completely wrong. Don't even give them credit. Don't try to, maybe. No, these are not thinking, sentient beings. They're the same people that pretended Joe Biden wasn't insane. They're the same people who pretend all their policies are not insane. No, they're awful, awful people. And there's only two conclusions: that they're either mentally ill or they're so evil that they're using these policies to stay in power over the good of the community they claim to represent. Period. All right, we got to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We'll be back with our Veterans Tribute after our great sponsors. A little weather brought to you by our friends at Montage. And then we're going to go to your phone calls. We'll be back. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day, brought to you by our friend John Basiliga. Today we feature, as we head into the weekend, it's hard to believe it, Basiliga Hospitality. 3 great bar restaurants. You think about watching a football game this weekend, man, they could do it there. The Old Brook Inn, 307 Springbrook Township, Far Street Tavern, in the great Trips Park section of West Scranton, the Queen City Tavern, downtown Oliphant. Fine dining, yeah, we got that. A Terra 519. Great bar. Great food. Great staff. Gorgeous atmosphere. And for an old world take on the same thing, the Stegbar Mansion, downtown Wilkes-Barre. Awesome. Leroy Walton. He was from Drifton. Passed away at age 98, December 18th. Surrounded by his family. He was born in Whitehaven. Honorably discharged Army veteran of World War II. He attained the rank of corporal. Before retiring, he was the groundskeeper for the Cox estate and was also a man of many trades. Leroy loved his wife, family, his neighbors that were always there for him. Preceding him in death, in addition to his parents, was his wife, Margaret, his brothers and sisters as well. Surviving are his daughters, his grandchildren, and his great-grandchildren. The legacy of Leroy Walton. John Feschuk. He was 79 when he passed December 11th. He was also from Drifton. Born in Hazleton, he honorably served, in the United States Army, receiving the following medals and awards from his country: National Defense Service Medal, Vietnam Campaign Medal, Good Conduct Medal, Vietnam Service Medal, 2 OS bars, and a Marksman's Badge rifle M14. He'd been employed as an office worker at Tobyhanna Army Depot. John Feschuk was a member of the Immaculate Conception Parish at St. Anne's Church, Freeland. The Veterans of Foreign Wars there, and a member of the Hazelton Train Club. He enjoyed being a Boy Scout leader, hunting, fishing, and ice hockey. Surviving John or his wife, the former Kathy Banyas, at home. A son, a grandchild, and a great-grandchild. John Feschuk. Our veterans this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and Basiliga Hospitality. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Well, when I think weather, I think Montage Mountain and all the amazing things that go on up there, all the fun that can be had up there. And what does Joe say? Well, he says today cloudy with rain in the afternoon, changing to snow late at night. I heard him on the morning show, Morning News, saying that it would be overnight that it'll turn to snow. But the high today, 45, 39 degrees outside the studio right now. Tonight, snow accumulating 1 to 2 inches, low of 27. Thursday, lingering snow showers, otherwise windy and cold, and it gets cold, 28. Friday, partly sunny, 30. That is your weather, brought to you by our friends at Montage Mountain. When you think weather, think what all the things you could do at Montage Mountain. This date, 1963, Murph tells us, Skeeter Davis. What a beautiful voice. She released her hit, The End of the World. What a beautiful, beautiful song. Thanks for finding that one, Murph. Joe from Trip Spark said, is it weird that the fight against ICE is not done by people actually being deported, and the Maduro protests were not done by actual Venezuelans? These are weirdos. They're living a lie. It's insane. Please, let's not even try. I'm with you on this, man. Let's not try to pretend they're normal. Just don't, on any level, pretend they're normal. There's not one step of critical thinking being utilized by the Democrat Party or the left, period. They're Looney Tunes. We're not going to sugarcoat it anymore. We're not going to be, well, they're normal, they have a point. No, they're not. Let's go to our man Ray from Mountaintop. How are you, Ray?
Robert, when I'm listening to you, I'm wonderful. God bless you, my friend.
Thank you.
Now, you are so right when you talk about the fact that our biggest problem is when common sense don't make it over to be common practice.
Mm-hmm.
And therein lies the problem over and over again. And our liberal brethren just don't get it. On every issue, in every situation, the only thing that causes global warming is the sun. Do you want the best feeding program for kids in the world? We do in schools. It's called mom. You want to have vocations and good kids and juvenile delinquency. That's called dad, D-A-D.
Mm-hmm.
The founding fathers understood absolutely that the most important political unit that existed in our country was the family.
Yep.
Not the county, not the municipality, surely not the state and federal government. It's the family wherein all good things happen. Yesterday, I was listening and I heard in the afternoon comments about the breakthrough legislation that forced school districts to notify and publicize incidents where people come to school with a weapon. And I thought to myself, and we're hailing this as a breakthrough. How about we do this?
We do. We hail normal and common sense as wow.
How about we do this? If you're a kid and you pass the sign that says you're entering the school system, your school areas, and weapons are prohibited, and you've got a weapon on you, it's simple. You're going to jail for 2 years. 2 years. I don't care if you're 14. 2 years, you go to jail. Do you think the message would spread to the other kids? I do. And as far as illegal aliens in our country committing homicides, you know what? No, I don't think we should deport them. We should execute them for what they did. They took an American's life. You lose your life. That's number one. And number two, then we send the body back to the country of origin because they're not fit to contaminate the cemeteries of good patriotic Americans, especially if there's veterans who are buried there. Let's use common sense.
You're on fire today, Ray. Ray, you are on fire today.
It's thanks to you, Robert. I need to get to a fire extinguisher because you lit me off, my friend. God bless your heart.
All right, man. Always a pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Ray.
All right.
And I'm not for 2 years. The points are important, though. Can we have certain punishment for certain crime? Can it be severe enough to be a deterrent? Hard to disagree with a lot of what he says, even subtleties of it, yes. Cabinet guy says, Bob, did you see Trump hanging the middle finger to the reporter when he asked him a stupid question? Actually, he gave the finger to some guy that was cursing him. It might have been a Ford employee. And by the way, I made a note to myself. I watched Trump go through the Ford plant. Now, he's with James Farley, the head of Ford. He's with William Clay Ford, one of the founding family members and the chairman of the board. And he is, I've just said that he's equally comfortable with the line employees and the janitors at the Ford plant as he is with either of those two or any of the executives, any of the suits. He's equally comfortable with them. And he's the same with all of them. See, that realness, he doesn't have to invent it. He didn't have to invent it, period. It was just so heartening, and I was watching very closely. And then again, like a regular guy, and sometimes his vulgarity crosses the line. Because somebody yelled something, like an F you or whatever, he gave the finger back and kept going. I mean, it was just a tour de force. When he's with real people at all levels, he treats them all the same. Doesn't matter race, position, class, nothing, none of that. He loves Americans, though. He loves Americans. Good stuff. All right, we'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. My man John sent me something. It's something we've talked about a number of times. It's this phony, disgusting, awful governor and the money, our money, that he gave to a radical Muslim group to buy their favor because he's a Jew. Unbelievable. We'll talk about it when we get back. Hey, just a reminder, if you're driving 81, between 9 and 2, today and tomorrow, there's some sort of infrastructure work being done by PennDOT between the Mount Pocono Milford deal, 84380, and the Scranton Central Expressway, exit 185. I got held up maybe 10 minutes or so, maybe not quite that much yesterday. So it's there. All right. Just be aware of it. And it reminds me, guys, you got to subscribe to this WILK thing. I get nothing out of it. It's just good. It's better news than you're going to get in the rags. Now that's Bob Dylan recorded his hit Subterranean Homesick Blues. This date, 1965, Murph says, at Columbia Recording Studios, New York City, for his upcoming album, Bring It All Back Home. Murph finds it all, baby. So anyway, yeah, that's the traffic deal. Just be aware of it, all right? Our friend, by the way, somebody texts in, I know Ray, in life he's just like he is on the radio. He's a good guy. We have no more common sense left in this country. Bob, these liberals are bringing us down to our knees, which is what they really want, so we better wise up. You are 100% right. If you concede to insanity, I talked about this a lot during the Biden administration. If you concede to insanity, there's no compromise with it. I was talking about practical issues even. Well, okay, we don't let 25 million through the border. We let 12 million illegally in the country. All right, we instead of thousands of children being mutilated pharmacologically and surgically for gender dysphoria, well, let's have half of that amount. There's no compromise with these people on any of these issues. Please remember that. You're not wrong. And it's not compassionate to compromise with sickness. And that's what it is. Believe me. Somebody said, I'll be for what Ray said, except let's add public executions. I wish I were joking, but it's to the point that a serious deterrent is needed. Well, I'm against the death penalty, as many of you know. And the reason, there's many reasons. The main reason is I would never want to pull that lever. I don't think I have the judgment. I don't think I have the wisdom. I don't think human beings ever will. It's not our place. But putting people away permanently, that's another story. You could forgive them, but keep them in prison. But, yeah, the execution, it never works out because of our legal system. It's never going to happen to any level where it'll actually be a deterrent. So I say it on two levels, practical level. All right, I look at my Picardo Jewelers watch, and it's not. By the way, they've got Raymond Weil, Breitling, Oris, Longines, Michelle, Shinola, Luminox, Swiss Army, Seiko, Tory Burch, Victorinox, Bulova, G-Shock. And they've got the best jewelry selection I've ever seen. Anyway, I'm talking about including Tiffany, New York. I'm telling you. And just love Picardo and the amazing family, and they will do anything for you. Anything within the realm of possibility. Picardo Jewelers. And they tell me on my Picardo watch that it's 10 o'clock, which means it's time for the news with Brian Hughes. And yes, that rhymes. We'll be back. Great good morning, everyone. My Cordaro Jewelers watch tells me it's 10:07 a.m. here in the great Northeast. This beautiful Wednesday, January 14, 2026. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with the help of our friend John Basiliga and his great Basiliga hospitality, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like the veterans we lost last year, but celebrate today. Like John Feschuk, Drifton. Leroy Walton, also of Drifton. Robert Kakovka, late of New Jersey, but he was from Einan. Albert Davis, Dalton. Herbert Mike Chachowski, Wilkes-Barre. Kenneth Walsh, South Abington. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense after that brief news adjournment. Well, we're going to have a guest, Jay Young. He's our oil expert. But he came up ill this morning, and I texted back, or emailed back, hey, I'm not feeling the best. I'm here, baby. Just because you had a little too much bourbon last night. But we'll get him back, because I wanted to talk to him about a number of things. One of the questions I want to ask him about is, why is diesel fuel stubbornly high? And I think it is. I think it's a little out of proportion. And if you drop the price of diesel, which is what most trucks use and most trains, you will reduce the cost of transportation substantially, which reduces prices. Now, we as consumers, we're enjoying the price of gas. We got $2.99. Now, the place that's next to the station was always good on prices. And now they're stubbornly staying at $3.17 or a number like that. And I'm like, I ain't going there. As convenient as it is, I'm not going there. I'm going to the Pilot on 81, actually on 315 where I go, and they're at $2.99. I even bought a $2.93 a couple weeks ago. I'm very, and out of principle, by the way, I'm not a coupon person or anything. But out of principle, you give me the best price. And by the way, we have one gas station on Meadow Avenue in Scranton, which is also $2.99. And I might give them a shot, you know. But it's more out of principle than anything else. Our man, Mark from Hazleton, just a couple of notes he makes. Sends me really good stuff. But Benedict Arnold, he was born 1741. He became infamous for being a traitor. But he was an American Revolutionary War general who defected to the British. Fort Saratoga, was it Saratoga? Yeah. I mean, it was a big deal. And I guess he had a high-spending bride, and the Tories lured him in with cash. And he betrayed us. And then others, Mark Antony, Roman general and politician, ally of Julius Caesar, key figure in Rome's transition to empire, born 83 BC. William Whipple this day. Who's William Whipple, you might ask? Signer of the U.S. Declaration of Independence. A lot of people that we don't think of had the cojones to step up and sign that document. And whenever I think of the not so famous who signed the Declaration of Independence, if you guys, some of you may remember, back in the 60s, when I was a little kid, my friend Buddy Mecca was the drummer in a band called Button Gwinnett. Well, everybody said, what is Button Gwinnett? It was a delegate from Georgia who signed the Declaration of Independence, Button Gwinnett. How about that? So thank you, Mark. And by the way, he adds in a quote from Albert Schweitzer, philosopher, physician, musician, Nobel laureate, who we lost in 1965. He says, "We must fight against the spirit of unconscious cruelty with which we treat the animals. Animals suffer as much as we do. True humanity does not allow us to impose such sufferings on them." And I'm an animal lover. I don't think to the extreme. But I've thought about this. Did you guys ever think about this? If somebody tried to harm my Chauncey or my Ponth, I think I'd do whatever. I really do. Yeah, they're animals. Yeah, they're whatever. And I don't put them on the same level as, I'm not saying, oh, my daughter, my son. No, I'm not at that level. I see people and they're a little silly with that. But that's okay. That may be all they have. But yeah, I think I would do almost anything to prevent someone from doing something to my Chauncey or my Ponth. I shouldn't spend time thinking about these things, but I do. I like to be prepared, I guess. But just a thought. And then think about, what would you do if someone was trying to intentionally harm your pet? They are part of the family. They're not the family, but they're part of it. No. So anyway, Jay Young won't be with us today, but we've got a lot more to talk about. And I wanted to talk about Venezuela, and this is maybe my opportunity. We're, as usual, as the people Rush Limbaugh wisely called the drive-by media. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but they drive by the issues and they only engage in that which they care about. Now, Trump's success, they don't care anything about it. In fact, they're trying actively to cover it up. But I want you to think about the layers upon which this Venezuela coup was conducted. Number one, and they're not necessarily in order of importance. They're all important. We demonstrated to the world that we are, and I've said this to you before, the rest of the world has to be convinced, friend and foe, by the way, that we are crazy, that we are lethal, that we are dangerous to mess around with. Well, we just proved it. That blabbermouth Ralph Cramden down there, Maduro, he thought he was safe in his little cocoon. Well, nobody's safe, and we just demonstrated it with incredible efficiency. Nobody could do that. Nobody. People say, well, the Israelis can't light a candle to us in lethality. Intelligence, yes. Now I'm talking about information, not native intelligence. But we proved, number one, we are crazy, we are unpredictable, we are lethal, and we are unstoppable. That sent a message to everyone. Take the next level upon which that lesson was imparted to all of the world. That Russia can't protect you. That Cuba can't protect you. That China can't protect you. Period. A lot of people want to deny the world we live in and that evil is all around us, and that evil will prevail if they think there is weakness in the good. And what is the good? The United States, period. Number two, whether we like it or not, we've moved into a position because of our environmental and other issues that the so-called rare earth minerals, by the way, they're not rare. It's just rare that anyone will be willing to violate the environment for such a sketchy economic proposition as mining for rare earth minerals. Well, the Chinese are doing it because it's strategic. They don't care about the economy. They care about strategy. And they supply a great deal of our rare earth minerals to us. This is across the economy. What did Trump do? By taking control of their oil, including our own oil and natural gas resources, we now say to China, do you want your oil? You give us the rare earth minerals. It is an incredible checkpoint. We could last for months, maybe even years, without the rare earths. They couldn't last for a week without Venezuelan oil, which we now control. The layers of strategy and victory in this one move are beyond remarkable. And the message is beyond strong. He sent the message to friend and foe. We are the most lethal. We are the craziest. We're the most dangerous people to mess with. And believe me, you don't survive in this world as leader, and the rest of the world doesn't survive as anything other than victims without the United States demonstrating that level of strength. And now, we not only can help our own economy with Venezuelan oil, we can not only save the Venezuelans, and frankly, that's the least important. It really is. We could not only save and restore that country to solidity, if not greatness, because of this incursion. But so you've got three levels, which each has many layers. Our own economy, our strategic position vis-a-vis the Chinese and others. When countries are deciding which side to hop on, I had a joke when we ran for office, county commissioner. I said, well, they were having their event at the Radisson in downtown Scranton. We're going to have ours across the street at the Hilton. Now, I would have picked the Radisson first, but they got it, our opponents. And I said, the reason I had it so close was because people who hadn't made up their minds until after the election could get to either one. Well, that's what the other countries need to know. Who's strong, who's dangerous, who's lethal, and who will act in everyone's self-interest, including their own. The United States of America. Thank you, Donald Trump. David Jones. Murph says this date, 1966. He changed his last name to Bowie so as not to be confused with Davy Jones of the Monkees. Bowie also released his first single, Can't Help Thinking About Me, the same day. And a legend was born. And he was the first guy that sold his music, his record compendium, to a corporation, monetized it, and sold out. And it's been used since. A lot of people texting in. Diesel trucks make money. That's why it's expensive cost of doing business. I know, but it just shouldn't be that much more. It's like $4.50 as I drive down the highway. But there's got to be, I want to know what the reasons are. Beyond that, I mean, I understand what you're saying because it's in demand and it's necessary. Like, I don't have to drive to XYZ, but the truck has to go. So I get it. Somebody else, gas $2.92 on Pittston Avenue. I only pay credit card because I write it off. So I wonder if it's cash or credit, but that's good. Another $2.73 a gallon, Hazel Street, Wilkes-Barre. Nice. Another on the pet thing. Don't forget we are animals, and yes, I would destroy anyone who harmed mine. Humans are the least peaceful and the most dangerous animal in the kingdom. Bob LTS says, Matt from Kingston, I wonder what Putin is thinking now, since we can basically pluck anyone. You know, I will guarantee you he thought of that. And when Trump sits across a table from any one of these thugs, he's got that in his back pocket. Man, we're the best. We're the most lethal. We are the most dangerous. Don't screw with us. Somebody reminding us diesel used to be cheaper than gas. LTL. Now, I think you mean LTS, but let me know what diesel, what LTL means. Somebody else texting in, the Russian oil fleet took a huge blow with the Maduro arrest also. They cannot fight a war they cannot fund. Trump killed an entire flock with just one stone. I'm telling you, the layers upon which this attack was important, was useful, was demonstrative in so many ways. And I want you to think about this. Now, by the way, here's just something that has crossed my mind. I wonder, and I hope, during this Iranian revolution, that we've been relying on Israeli intelligence. You remember the incredible intelligence they had when they were taking people out in Israel or in Iran? They've got amazing intelligence there. And I hope we're using that when we're picking targets, because we should be picking targets right now. We should be picking targets in Iran, and we should be hitting them very soon. I think he will. Somebody else, Bob, traveling the East Coast for vacation. Cheapest gas winner is South Carolina at $2.31 a gallon. Cheapest diesel winner is Georgia, $2.85. How about that? Another, most expensive for both, you guessed it, Pennsylvania. Somebody else, Bob, except for the dye, and this is something I learned through all of you, diesel is the same as home heating oil. No reason for the price difference. Gas is $2.79 in Hamlin. Well, I guess demand is that reason. Out of a given barrel of crude, somebody texts in, refining can produce almost twice as much gasoline as diesel. Okay. All right. But it did. I remember it being cheaper. I remember my friend, we did a veteran salute to him, Tommy Carlucci. He bought a diesel VW Rabbit in the 70s. And he was going to drive it to California because he could sell it for $10,000. I don't know if he ever pulled off his plan, but everything he said, all the underlying facts were true. Diesel was cheaper. Anyway, we'll we got to think about this. There was a point I wanted to make, and another one. Gas 271 at the Quick Fill, Route 6 in Tunkhannock. Neat, really neat. Bobby O, by the way, the one who pointed out. Regarding the price of diesel is typically more expensive during the winter months as fuel is combined with home heating oil to prevent it from getting in the cold. Put a bottle of olive oil in your fridge for a day or two and see what happens to it. Same thing as diesel. Okay. Bobby O, thanks, and LTS back at you. I learn something every day. I'm talking to you guys. Always, always, always. Well, it is 10:31 on my Bacardo Jewelers watch. Well, that tells me we've got to take a break. We've got to hear from our great sponsors, and they are great. And then we'll come back with our Veterans Tribute, and then the weather brought to you by Montage, and then you, 570-883-0098 to call or to text. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day of this program. Brought to you by our friend John Basiliga. Today featuring just one of his great companies, Basiliga Hospitality. Bar, restaurant, you're thinking about where to hang out for the games. This weekend and Monday night? The Old Brook Inn, 307 Springbrook. The Far Street Tavern. The great Trips Park section of West Scranton. Queen City Tavern, downtown Oliphant. Unbelievable. The food's great. The fun, the whole package. You want fine dining? Guess what? They got a TV at Atera now, right near my favorite bar stool. Atera 519, the most elegant setting in Northeast Pennsylvania. And there's nothing better anywhere, I promise you. Food's awesome. Staff, amazing. Stegmeyer Mansion. Fine dining in an old world setting. Think traveling to Newport, going into one of the mansions, and having one of the finest meals you'll ever have. That's the Stegmeyer Mansion. Albert Davis III. He was from Dalton. We lost him December 23rd. His widow is the former Dr. Patricia Ann Charney. The couple had been married for 57 years. Born in Scranton, he was a 1966 graduate of Abington Heights High School. He then served his country in the United States Army, where he was an E-5 Army helicopter crew chief. Prior to retirement, he was a self-employed contractor. He also owned the Daily Grind coffee shop in Carbondale. He attended Our Lady of the Abington's Church. In addition to his wife surviving 4 daughters, 2 sons, 11 grandchildren. Tragically preceded in death by an infant daughter, Albert Davis III. Herbert Mike Chachowski. Mike was 88. He was from Wilkes-Barre. We lost him December 18th. Born in Lee Park, Hanover Township. He graduated from Hanover Area High School in 1956. He gave up several chances to play college football, enlisting instead to serve this country in the United States Marine Corps. After his honorable discharge, he joined the Hanover Township Police Department, where he proudly served his community again with dedication for 33 years. He continued working as a security officer for Luzerne County until his full retirement in 2019. Mike was known for his quick wit, kind heart, and generous spirit. Everything you'd want in a cop. Devoted husband, father, and grandfather. He'll be sadly missed by his loving wife of 52 years, the former Linda Brown Chachowski, his 3 children, his cherished grandchildren, and many other family members. Mike Chachowski, our great veterans this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and Basiliga Hospitality. I don't it's not every so often, it's quite often they get to me, these tributes. Boy, what great people. Holy cow. Our Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Well, it's brought to you by our friends at Montage Mountain, where everything is happening this winter. I think weather. I think Montage. I think Montage. I think weather. And that's why they sponsor the weather. Joe says today, cloudy with rain in the afternoon, changing to snow late at night. It's supposed to get up to 45, 43 outside the studios right now. Tonight, snow accumulating 1 to 2 inches overnight, low 27. Thursday, lingering snow showers, otherwise windy and cold, 28. Perfect skiing weather. Friday, partly cloudy, sunny, high of 30. That's your weather, brought to you by our great friends at that amazing Montage Mountain. Murph reaches deep. That's the Temptations from this date in 1971. Just my imagination running away with me. Bob Cordaro back with you on WRK. Before that, a guy named Mike Foley, Pennsylvania taxpayer, talking to some bunch of clowns. I don't know if it was on a school board or not, but I saw this and I said, give that guy a show. Give him a show. He gets it. By the way, my man Paul L. tells me diesel has a ton of additives in the winter to prevent it from freezing. As someone pointed out, putting the olive oil in your refrigerator. In the northern part of the country, diesel in warmer states, even in the winter, will be less because they don't need to cut it with the additives. Thank you, Paul. I learn something every day from you guys. I really do. And I learned today. I did not realize, I don't know if it was the case in California where Johnny Cash cut his album, but at Folsom, whether it was segregated and in the process of desegregation when he cut the album. Good stuff, though. Important stuff. By the way, $3.09 a gallon for high test at DC Tunkhannock. Now, that's pretty darn good. Somebody else, Bob, diesel fuel is the most inexpensive to produce. The reason why it costs more is because of the demand in the trucks that travel over the road. And I'm with you on this. If they would reduce the cost of goods in our supermarkets, would be less. The other thing I have to tell you, says the listener, is that you could move 100 train cars of freight for 1 gallon of diesel fuel, and it takes 5 gallons, getting 5 miles a gallon with diesel fuel on a truck. Somebody else, if anyone hurt your family, meaning your kids, would you be able to pull the switch? I know I would be. It would be no problem. Thanks, Bob LTS. Of all people, Mario Cuomo gave the most reason, and I'm pro-life across the board. He gave the reason why he was against the death penalty, and I've adopted it, and it makes all the sense in the world. That was when even liberals made sense back then. He said, yes, I would want to kill a person who harmed my family member. But we as a society have to be better than that. They've got to be better than my instincts, better than my desires. And I thought, you got it right. And the death penalty doesn't work for its intended purpose of deterrence anyway, because it doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. Charles in Scout Township, he says, $2.75 at Penn Jersey in Einan. Have a good day and God bless. God bless you. I might be driving up there. What was that, $2.75? That's great. Hey, let's go to Ray from Wilkes-Barre regarding gas prices. Hey, Ray.
Hey, Bob, how you doing?
Fantastic.
Yeah, what I like to say is gas prices will come down. But, people are judging Trump too quickly. Like, they got to understand, this is like when a new building goes up, you got to get permits, zoning, and it takes some time.
Yep.
He's working on everything. He's getting everything to fall into place, and the Democrats just don't see it. And if gas prices do continue to come down, I could tell you one thing, the governor we have, he'll raise the gas tax higher than what it already is.
He
Guaranteed.
will.
That little worm.
Yep.
Yeah. That's that. But like I said, Trump's putting everything in place. What he just pulled out down in Venezuela was great. And people don't even realize if Russia or China gets into Newfoundland, they're going to be in our backyard.
Yes.
I don't know how people don't see this, but I think he's on the right path. Gas prices coming down, food prices will come down because of transportation costs. It'll all fall into place. But they got to give him a little bit of time to get all this. And I think he's already doing a great job. How he is lining everything up.
Now, my quibble with him. I said I played football with a lot of guys like this. They were trash talkers, and he'll say, for example, he used words that like a scumbag like Hakeem Jeffries will use against him, where he says we're going to start reducing prices on day one. Well, of course you're not. You know what I mean? He exaggerates.
Right.
but it's part of his shtick, and I'm hoping people, by the time the midterms come around, get it. You know, that, look, at all of these things are common sense, and they are working.
Yes, they are. And these people that if they want to vote Democrat in the midterms, they better realize the only thing Democrats go after are the people that work.
Yes.
And they're going to go after you even more.
People
What
forget
don't
the
they get?
85,000 IRS agents that were going to be going after waitresses and landscapers and restaurant owners. People forget about that.
They got to wake up and realize it.
Although,
because
Ray,
the Democrats
you know what
aren't
our
for the
problem
working
is?
person.
The problem is on the conservative side is we don't vote.
Right.
I mean, we got to change that mentality by the fall. We really do.
You're right on that one. All right. Thanks for hearing me. Love your show, Bob. Keep it going.
Always my pleasure, Ray. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, we've got to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We'll be back. I always thought that was somebody else. Murph tells us, though, it's Player. Never heard of them. I heard the song, of course. This date, 1978. It was the number one hit. Bob Cordaro back with you on WILK. Something, I've got two things to mention that I need to mention. Number one, it's Mother Teresa, St. Teresa for today. Because I know if I don't do it as I'm thinking about it, I'll read it myself and then forget I didn't do it. She says, peace and war begin at home. If we truly want peace in the world, let us begin by loving one another in our own families. If we want to spread joy, we need for every family to have joy. She talks about this so often that, and because it's who most of us can affect are the people closest to us. So she's always talking about take it to the family first. It will spread. It will matter. So thank you, Mary Regina. St. Teresa for today. By the way, Scott Adams. It was my favorite cartoon, and I'm talking all time, which is quite a pantheon. Because I think I grew up in the golden age of newspaper comics. But he wrote Dilbert. It captured the frustration of the beleaguered white-collar cubicle workers and satirized the ridiculousness of modern office culture. He was dropped from syndication in 2023 for supposed racist remarks. He was canceled, basically. But he died of cancer at age 68. He said, had an amazing life. I gave it everything I had. And Dilbert, with his mouthless, bespectacled hero and white short-sleeve shirt and a perpetually curled red tie, he appeared in 2,000 newspapers worldwide in at least 70 countries and 25 languages. Yeah, that was great. And Scott Adams was unapologetically conservative. And it cost him. It cost him what many people would say was everything. And by the way, thank you to Mark from Hazel for reminding me. Yeah, big stuff. And he did have a great and impactful life. Scott Adams. Oh, good stuff. Really, Well, we're heading towards the top of the hour. This situation. By the way, did anybody hear that Kiefer Sutherland got arrested? He was apparently attacked an Uber driver. But it's dangerous on both sides of that chain, isn't it? He attacked an Uber driver and got arrested. Who knows what the hell was going on with him? He likes his booze. I think he likes his drugs. And apparently once in a while it takes claim of his senses. And it just did last night, apparently. All right, well, we've got to take this break because my Picardo Jeweler watch tells me that it is 11 o'clock on the dot. We'll be back after the news with Brian Hughes. Great good morning, everyone. My Picardo Jewelers watch tells me it's 11:07 here in the great Northeast. This beautiful Wednesday, January 14, 2026. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he. And it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values. And with the help of our man, John Basiliga, and his great Basiliga hospitality, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like veterans we lost last year, but celebrate today, thanks to John. Like Kenneth Walsh, South Abington Township. Robert Kakovka, Einan, late of New Jersey. Herbert Mike Chachowski, Wilkes-Barre. Albert Davis, Dalton. Leroy Walton, Drifton. And John Feschuk, Drifton. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order after that brief news adjournment. This meeting of the Club for Common Sense promising you a sanctuary of sanity in a world where the left, the establishment, the globalists, and the entire Democrat Party has gone insane. Hey, people texting in a number of prices, $2.75 gas, Hazel Street, Wilkes-Barre. Somebody else, eggs, $1.67 at Aldi. Another, let's see, this is Slick. Slick says it's $2.71 at Penn Jersey and Einan, across from the old Sugarman's. Thank you, Slick. I think that's Slick. Anyway, Bob, 85,000. Here's a troll. This is South Park would call you a particular word. This is one of the main trolls. He says, Bob, the 85,000 IRS agents could have been working on fraud like in Minnesota child centers. So you don't even know what the IRS does, do you? You'll grasp at any straw to defend scumbag Joe Biden and his scumbag administration. By the way, somebody sent me, and I lost it, synonyms for scumbag, because I said at least my mother guaranteed gets upset when I use the word. But I want you to look it up in the dictionary. It actually makes sense. I'm describing these people accurately. Somebody else, the trolls will never get it. They can't see the forest through the trees. They'll bitch about affordability, yet didn't say a word when gas was $4.59 a gallon, and now it's $2.93 in Covington Township. Trump didn't do anything, they'll say. They'll just bitch about Renee Nicole Good, but not a word about Laken Riley. I know it. Isn't that disgusting? It's idiocy at the highest and worst level. Somebody else texts in, Bob, I'm so sick of the mainstream media shows and their spin on everything. Do they realize how awful things will be if communists or Islamists take over? Are they crazy? We fought and worked to bring this country to the greatness it has become. I'm ready to fight for America, and I'm a 75-year-old woman. I'm disgusted with these liberals and their passive agenda. God help us. If they don't like it here, go to another country and see how it is. I know. See how much you get away with. That's our mountaintop gal. Thank you. Thank you, dear. Hey, well, we've talked, and I got to tell you, we tried. This is why I don't try to get interviews, okay? Now, John Fetterman, God bless him. I told you he shouldn't have been our senator. He still embarrasses me with his outfits, but he's the only Democrat on the national level making any sense and not lying. Well, what's his reward from the mainstream Democrat Party, the left stream sicko Democrat Party? They're going to run a guy named Connor Lamb against him. So we tried to get Fetterman, but I typically I knew his staff would be incompetent. They are. They couldn't get back to us. Who do you talk to? So we gave up. But then somebody we've had on before, our friend of the program, Albert Eisenberg. And he's been on before, and he's told us a lot of things, and he studies these things. And he came up and wrote this article. And it basically is an independent path forward for Pennsylvania's Maverick senator, published in broadenliberty.com. And here he is, the aforementioned Albert Eisenberg. Welcome back to the Bob Cordaro Show, Albert. How are you?
Bob, you are always energizing with your intros, and I just wonder when you're going to run for office.
I ran, and it was already decided.
As is often the case.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, long saga in elected politics. Well, Albert, tell us about this. You look at it and you say, man, the Pennsylvania Democrat Party has gone insane, like the rest of the Democrats. Is there a path forward for him a couple of years out? What, 2028 he's up?
That's right. So I'm arguing, I believe for the first time, that Fetterman has experienced what we've all experienced, from normal, regular person to elected official with the Democratic Party, which is if you step out on key issues, they're so dogmatic and their way of exercising control is to cast you out socially and make you a pariah. And Fetterman has been a bastion of common sense, as you say, on the Israel-Hamas conflict, which is existential from a Western civilizational standpoint, on the enforcement of our borders, which is existential from a domestic politics standpoint. He called out the Democrats on the government shutdown. He's just a normal guy.
He made another normal statement that it was a good thing to take out Maduro.
Correct.
He continues to confound us with common sense.
Correct. My theory is that whatever part of your brain that Democrats have activated that makes them lie all the time and pretend that they don't know what they should know got eliminated with his first stroke in 2022, which, by the way, nobody in the media would cover at that point. And now you see all the leaks about his health. He's in much better health now than he was in 2022. That's purely because his staff is pissed off at him and the progressives who elected him are pissed off at him. So what I say in the piece, which is borne out in the polling, is he would lose a Democratic primary if it was held today, and it will be even worse in 2028 because he's not doing the things to show recalcitrance to get back with the Democratic base, which is why you see Connor Lamb and Chris DeLuzio and Brendan Boyle from Philly coming and angling and starting to criticize him. So he has no path forward as a Democrat. He said he does not want to flip as a Republican. He said it multiple times. And unlike a lot of other politicians, Trump accepted, when he says something, I believe you can trust it because he seems to speak his mind. Mm-hmm. So what I'm arguing in the piece is don't flip to being a Republican, but leave the Democrats, become an independent. There is a U.S. Senator from Maine who's an independent who caucuses with the Democrats. He should become an independent and caucus with the Republicans.
Now, should he do this, Albert Eisenberg, before or after the election year? Should he do it now?
I think he should do it now, and here's why. He cannot run. If he runs in a Democratic primary, he's going to lose, and then he'd have to flip to being an independent with all this infrastructure he'd have to build from scratch. What he can do now is work with state Republicans and work with the NRSC in Washington and say, hey, I'm still going to be pro-choice. I'm still going to vote my conscience, but I will join your caucus. And in turn, you can either endorse me and another Republican in 2028 for Senate or keep that lane clear, and he will win re-election soundly because, as you say, he's a common sense guy. He would win with astronomical support, and this is shown in polling. Republicans like him. Independents like him.
Albert, what do the polls show now in terms of his favorability among all voters, just for example?
He's doing okay. He could be doing better with all voters, but he's particularly favorable with Republicans, which is really insane. I don't think there's another elected official from one party in the country who's more popular with the other party, which shows that the water's gotten too hot on the Democratic side. But what we do know about voters, just in your regular conversations and in polling, is that they're hungry for people who are willing to reach across the aisle, stop echoing talking points and going to, our respective sides all the time. And Fetterman's one of those people. So I believe if he declared as an independent and kept consistent and was a true down-the-middle independent, which I think he is in his heart, he would actually be more popular after that.
I disagree completely with that statement. I think he's a lefty. I think he always will be. He's voted over 90% of the time, in fact, over 90% of the time, with the Democrat caucus, which is insane. They're insane people. They're not normal. And his statements have been, I tell people, talk is cheap. His statements have been normal. They've been warm, fuzzy, just common sense. But his actions and his votes have not been.
Yep.
I don't know how
So that's an interesting point, Bob. So I think persuasion happens when we are friends with each other and we can kind of welcome people in and persuade them. I believe he will find a much friendlier audience with the Republican caucus because we are more open-minded and we don't cast out people who disagree with us. I think if he started caucusing with us, he would probably vote with the Dems a lot of the time, and we'd have to be okay with that. But I believe we could persuade him to join. I mean, he voted with us on the government shutdown, and he would. And I believe it would really strengthen our hand to have more of a friendship that's formalized with him. I believe he would vote with us more often. But you're right. I think there's things that are very left about him. That being said, our new political coalitions, the way that the Trump's interventions in the business world, the Nippon Steel deal, there's things that Republicans are doing that are more left populist than they've ever been. And I think we can find a lot of common ground with the guy based on how he talks.
Albert Eisenberg is our guest. He's written an article, An Independent Path Forward for Pennsylvania's Maverick Senator, referencing our Senator John Fetterman. It's in broadandliberty.com. It could be found. Albert, who are you? We already know who the Democrats are that are emerging. Connor Lamb, probably top of the list among them. But who are the Republicans that are lining up and thinking about running for U.S. Senate seat?
That's a good question. I mean, we have a very talented congressman in Dan Muser who gracefully did not make it a messy primary with Stacey Garrity for governor in 2026. I think he's somebody who is talented. He's connected. He's shown leadership, and he clearly has an appetite for state office. I think we have a lot of talented people in Harrisburg in our state Senate and state rep caucus. Kristen Phillips-Hill out of York, PA is somebody I really like and admire and think she should run for higher office, which I've told her. I think Rosemary Brown is going to win her state Senate seat in Northeast. I'd love to see her run for higher office. I think she'd win. And then we have people in the business community that, these outsiders that might make a run for it who we don't even know yet. So I'm, keeping my eyes open, but I'd be curious what you think as well.
Well, we like you mentioning Muser first because he's our favorite. There's not even a doubt about it. He would be outstanding. Yeah.
Yes.
But I don't want to play footsie with Marxists. All right. Because in the end, policy matters. And John Fetterman, his first instinctive reaction will always be government first as the solution. Government action, government spending. He hasn't shaken that in any way, shape, or form. So I'm not a fan.
He would not necessarily be a good Republican. Let's say that. Yeah. I think it would be great if he was an independent. I think that would be a partial win for Republicans. Yeah. And we have to remember the high water mark in Pennsylvania for electing a U.S. senator was Dave McCormick winning by 15,000 votes.
Yeah.
When Bob Casey won in 2018, their high water mark, he won by hundreds of thousands of votes. So we really are a center-left state. We're a light blue state. So with or without Fetterman, it's a very tall order to keep that to flip that U.S. Senate seat Republican. So we have to be realistic as well.
Well, and plus,
that's another thing I argue.
If he's running as an independent and the Republicans stick together, we can win it easier. Yeah.
And I actually disagree because Fetterman's more popular among Republicans than Democrats right now, and I think Democrats act more in group mentality. That's just part of their cultural DNA, and they will snap into action and vote left, and I think some Republicans will vote for Fetterman.
Albert Eisenberg, we appreciate it. His article,
Thank you, Bob.
An Independent Path Forward for Pennsylvania's Maverick Senator John Fetterman, found in broadandliberty.com. Albert, always a pleasure. Thank you for your analysis. We love it.
Thank you, sir.
All right. We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We will return. I apologize. I'm laughing. By the way, that's REO Speedwagon. Murph tell us they reached their hit. Can't fight this feeling. This date, 1985. My man Mark Mayer. By the way, college football fame at the University of Rochester. Great coach in New York State. He said he had a meeting with Kiefer Sutherland around 1 a.m. Some morning in 2004 at the P&G Cafe on 73rd in Amsterdam after an Allman Brothers concert at the Beacon. He says after Kiefer sleeping on the bar, waking up, calling me a bald bastard, Kiefer stepped away from the bar, took his sweater and shirt off, bent over doing the Boston Crab with a vine tattoo around his tiny left bicep and tricep, and screamed, "Come on, you bald bastard, give me your best shot." Mark Mayer says hugs and kisses followed. So I apologize. That's what I burst out laughing about. You guys do make me laugh, and so my man Mark Mayer does all the time. By the way, somebody texts in, Connor Lamb is a turd. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. He ran, people forget, he ran as a for Congress in an open seat, pretending to be a moderate, normal. He's now all in on the left-wing lunacy, which is why they're going to pick him and endorse him for Senate. We'll see. Somebody says, and that you've been telling me this, I've been pushing for months for Republicans to help fund Fetterman in his primary to avoid an extreme leftist candidate. I don't agree with you. We talked about this before. I do not agree. Respectfully do not. I will take Albert Eisenberg's wisdom and analysis to say that if Fetterman runs as an independent, it's going to hurt the Republican. But we've got to just change that. He didn't change his stripes. Sorry. He didn't change his stripes. He's a lefty. He's a Marxist. I mean, just because you have what they call in psychology lucid moments doesn't mean you're not crazy. And by the way, I point this out every time I talk about him. I like him. I get a kick out of him. But I don't want an Arrested Development U.S. Senator. We see what a great U.S. Senator can do, even in his first months in office, in Dave McCormick. He'll never be Dave McCormick, period. He'll never be a tribute to the people of Pennsylvania. He'll never create anything great for the people of Pennsylvania. And Republicans got to get a good candidate like Dan Muser, and we got to run with it, and we've got to win. Remember the problem with Republicans? When they disagree on anything, they don't show up to vote. And we've got to break that habit this fall, or we're going to have a Democrat Congress, and the sickos will be in charge of Capitol Hill. Can't do it. Can't do it. Listen, I'll accept wisdom out of the mouth of babes, but I am not going to support John Fetterman for U.S. Senate. I'll pat him on the back. I'll have a beer with him, whatever. It's very different from electing him United States Senator. He's not interested. Please remember that, guys. We can't. And I'm not, and you know this, I hope. When a Republican wins a primary, whether I was for or against, I'm for that person right now. In rare instances, no. I am talking about congressional and Senate races, gubernatorial races. But that doesn't mean I have to support some crazy man which is what Fetterman is, who sometimes makes sense. We can't do that. We can't fall for that. Our man Andrew from New Jersey checking in. We're going to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We'll come back with our Veterans Tribute, brought to you by John Basiliga Hospitality. Our weather report brought to you by the great Montage Mountain. And then we've got Tyler Crawford from Montage to tell us a little bit about what's going on there. We love the place. There's always something great going on. We'll take a break and be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day, brought to you dutifully, patriotically, by our man John Basiliga, featuring this day, as we head to the weekend, believe it or not, Basiliga Hospitality. The best in bar restaurants, like the Old Brook Inn, 307 Springbrook Township, the Far Street Tavern, the great Trips Park section of West Scranton, Queen City Tavern, reimagined in downtown Oliphant. Fine dining, yep, we got it. A Terra 519. The class of restaurants in Northeast Pennsylvania and beyond. Great bar, too, by the way. Same thing with the Stegmaier Mansion. What a great bar to hang around. And what an amazing restaurant. Brings you back to the Gilded Age. My favorite movie house? Scranton Art House. Downtown, our own little Times Square in downtown Scranton. Kenneth Walsh, South Abington Township. We lost him at just 75 on December 22nd. I knew Ken. He passed away at his home with his wife by his side. They were together 31 wonderful years, the former Judith O'Malley and he. Born in Scranton, graduate of West Scranton High School, he became a certified respiratory technician. Started his career at the former Mercy Hospital, then accepted an invitation from one of his best friends, Thomas Daly, to work for him at Daly Resources. Due to injuries suffered during his time in the service, His career was cut short. He was a United States Navy veteran. Member of Church of St. Gregory. He loved to play bingo and lottery. He'll be remembered for his impeccable style and beautiful wardrobe. He also enjoyed his Saturday date nights with his wife, Judy. Surviving sister, brother, niece, and other family members, including countless friends, Kenneth Walsh. Robert Kakovka. He was 92 when we lost him November 24th. He was from Einan, a Korean War veteran. He died in New Jersey, living in Lake Hopatcong in that state. He moved to Rockaway in 1988. Born in Scranton, his maternal grandparents, immigrants from Plavnica, Prešov region of Slovakia. They founded Whitko's Hotel in Einan, which is now Tiffany's Tap and Grill. Parishioner and altar server at Holy Ghost Roman Catholic Church in Oliphant, founding Slovak families. Parishioner and lector of Our Lady Star of the Sea Roman Catholic Church, and then a parishioner at St. Cecilia Roman Catholic Church in Rockaway. Educated Archbald Public Schools and the Holy Ghost Parish School in Oliphant. Graduated from Blakely High School in Pennsylvania, 1950. He worked at Daystrom. Yeah, we all remember that in Archibald. That was the name. General, I apologize. After multiple takeovers, a huge employer here. Pursuit of a mechanical engineering degree, he was drafted into service during the Korean War. He served all over the place and then was assigned Far East Command, Seoul, Korea. He was in battle zones in mountainous Chorwon, Kumwa Valleys, the Gangwon Province, northeast of Seoul. He was there. He then returned from the war, medals galore. Graduated from Pennsylvania State University with a degree in mechanical engineering. He spent his entire working career at Picatinny Arsenal, Dover, New Jersey. He was an avid freshwater angler. He loved to travel. He did it for business. He did it for this country. Survived by his wife of 37 years, Catherine Ferrone Kakovka, and his 3 children, 7 grandchildren, 2 great-grandchildren, and 2 stepchildren. Robert Kakovka. Our veterans this hour brought to you by John Basiliga and Basiliga Hospitality. Something in the throat I can't get out. Well, Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker, brought to you by our friends at Montage Mountain Resort. They mean weather. The weather means Montage. I think of them simultaneously. Today, cloudy with a bit of rain in the afternoon, changing to snow late at night. It'll be up to 45. Well, we're going to beat that here. It's 47 as I speak. Tonight, snow accumulating 1 to 2 inches. Back to great snow conditions tomorrow, low 27. Thursday, lingering snow showers, otherwise windy and cold, 28. Friday, partly sunny, high of about 30. The weather brought to you by the words and name that is synonymous with weather, Montage Mountain. She had such a great, unique, retro sound. Amy Winehouse, back, Murph says, January 14, 2007. The number one album in the UK, Back to Black, and he picked Rehab, which was their most famous song. And she might have needed the rehab, huh? Well, it's winter. And it's an all-seasons resort, but winter, they really shine. And here's Tyler Crawford from Montage Mountain. Tyler, how are you? Great to have you back.
Hey, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
All right, so we got a little sprinkles this afternoon, but conditions, see, that's, I think skiers understand it, but maybe others don't. It's still outstanding conditions on the mountain.
Yeah, I like to think that the skiing's good any day, all winter. And it really comes down to your preference. Some people, like myself, prefer a little bit softer snow. I don't mind a few sprinkles out there. It makes the snow nice and soft. And, of course, for those of us that get cold hands and stuff like that, we love being out there on the more mild days.
Yeah.
But, I couldn't help but notice you said that there was a little bit of snow here coming in the next couple of days. That's very exciting as well.
You know what? And I had this explained to me. You may not know this, but when I was county commissioner, I was charged with running Montage Mountain.
No way.
Oh, it was a nightmare. But it explained to me light snow was great because it got people thinking of skiing and winter sports. But heavy snow was not good because then they couldn't get there.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. Heavy snow's great always the day after, and if you're brave enough to make the travel up, we're all there during a heavy snowstorm, and I'll tell you, it is the best skiing in the whole world to ski during heavy snow. But the light snow is great. We say it all the time, and if you can see the mountain from somewhere in the valley or your own home, you see that we have some snow up there. We're making snow every single chance we can. Since the previous warm-up, we've been making snow every night. It's been great. But we love the light snow, a couple inches here and there, because it does remind everyone that it is winter and snow is fun. And despite us making our own snow, we always appreciate a little extra on top. So definitely makes for some great conditions, some great skiing. We've got everything open up there, and we're just having a great winter here so far.
I've heard tell you at a Bafo December, like people are discovering all of the things that you guys are doing up there and saying, man, this is close, it's accessible, and it's a blast.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, the skiing and the snowboarding goes without saying. It's what we specialize in. But I always like to remind everyone that winter at Montage Mountain, like the other four seasons, is not just specifically for the skiers and snowboarders. We've got a killer bar and restaurant open every single day. Really, really cool, weird, awesome menu. Things that you'll only get at Montage Mountain. We've got events throughout the year. We've got trivia every Tuesday. We had a huge crowd up. We filled the house last night.
Neat.
We gave away massages and floats and stuff. It's the coolest thing, just to always have something to do right in your backyard, even if you're not a skier and a snowboarder. And if you are, it's even better.
Well, I'm a fan of the bar.
So you and me both.
Yes. All right. So you've got a big event coming up, which people wouldn't think about it, but hey, you're a water park too, so you've got a water event coming up the end of the month.
That's right. Yes. It's not typically as warm as the water park that we see in the summer, but we do. It's the Polar Plunge. It's sponsored by the Special Olympics. They host it at our mountain every year, and it's just a really awesome community-centered event for a great cause where there's absolutely no skiing or snowboarding required to participate or just to watch. And hopefully those that come and watch and enjoy the festivities provide a small donation, anything to their means, to the Special Olympics. It's a 2-day event, a Friday and a Saturday. And you'll see a bunch of dedicated, crazy people jumping in an ice-cold pool of water for a great cause.
And they get people who will donate on their behalf in order to plunge into the water, and it all benefits right. Special Olympics. How about that?
Yeah, it is really cool. And the first time I heard about this happening, I'm thinking, that's wild. I don't know how many people are going to jump in this pool. And I'll tell you, it's gotten a few years in now into the hundreds. We get people from all around the Northeast, and they just come participate. support the Special Olympics. It is so cool. It's such a great thing to be a part of.
Couldn't be a better cause. Well, things are hopping. The weekend's coming. We'll talk to you Friday, Tyler Crawford. But
Absolutely.
Montage Mountain is the place to be. Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
All right, man. Tyler Crawford, Montage Mountain. We'll take a break and be back. Murph tells us this date, 2018, Panic at the Disco had the #1 hit. Could you believe this? High Hopes was the song. It's got something to it. We're going to finish with the track. Oh, that's right. Now I recognize that song. Okay. There you go. All right. Not bad. We're going to finish, though, with the Traveling Wilburys. He tells us Murph tells us this date, 1989. They moved up to #8 on the album charts with Volume 1 and the song End of the Line, which I thought, hey, that's how you end the show, right? That's how you end it. Hey, tomorrow, we're going to have Senator Dave McCormick on. That's at 10 o'clock. At 11 o'clock, we're going to have Rick Bigelow. We're going to do a little in-depth dive on the amazing MacArthur, Douglas MacArthur. Looking forward to that. Somebody texts in, Bob, I'm a Republican, but I predict we're going to have a Democrat Congress in the midterms, and it's all the fault of the idiot in the White House. I know what you mean, but make sure you don't have TDS. Like, I look at it and I say, no matter what, first of all, I think he's very funny. I think he's hilarious. He's my favorite comedian. But that aside, I look at the policies. I look at the initiatives. And we're headed in the right direction on every single front. Of course, the world is fraught with peril. But they're not going to take advantage of us. They're not going to go out of their way to alienate us. I just don't see what you're saying. I know his personality is whizzing a lot of people off. I get it. How he presents himself, the braggadocio, the whole bit. I get it. But I will tell you this. The problem that conservatives have is that we don't get out and vote in these kinds of elections. And if you want Hakeem Jeffries to be Speaker of the House, man, if that is not enough, if you don't want Bernie Sanders to be in the majority in the United States Senate, vote like your life depends on it, because it does. I promise you it does. Certainly your country does. That's for sure. So as the Wilburys begin their deal, final mention of our great veterans, brought to you by our friend John Basiliga Hospitality. Robert Kakovka, Einan, Late of New Jersey. Kenneth Walsh, South Abington Township. Herbert Mike Chachowski, Wilkes-Barre. Albert Davis, Dalton. John Feschuk, Drifton. Leroy Walton, Drifton. As Dickens would say, we may never see their likes again. Guys, great being with you. You know that. I'm looking forward to tomorrow already, but that's only promised by God. So we'll see what that's all about. And then, by the way, people, this is, people, I hope you're not, doing well. No, I'm fine. Believe me, I am. And it's cough, cold, flu nonsense. And I mean nonsense. What people have to deal with in their daily lives. This is nothing. And by the way, on top of all that, I don't have a real job. So don't worry about me. But thank you for your concerns. We'll be back tomorrow. With every effort I can make, I'll be here. Have a great afternoon. We've got the Sue Henry Show next, the Rob O'Donnell Show after that, and I hope you will have a great day. But for now, I look at my Picardo Jewelers watch, and it's telling me we're approaching noon, which means I got to get off the stage. It means that I've got to gavel to close this meeting of the Club for Common Sense and tell all of you, adios. Meeting adjourned.